How feasible is it that the mental competence issue in allowing people to get guns, someone can seem very normal, and in fact maybe pass as normal, but has a defect in their character that comes out later?
Oh, that's not an uncommon thing at all. And I just don't think it would be logistically possible to give psychological tests to everybody that's buying a weapon. I mean, I don't see that happening in this country. However, you know, Nick is right. There is a huge mental illness issue, and it is absolutely being almost ignored in the various states. When law enforcement contacts somebody who has a mental issue, they bring him to an emergency room and they try to get him some help. Well, there's no place to put them, and that's happening all over this country. So what happens? They're right back on the street. These are the same people that are going out and purchasing weapons or obtaining them illegally and then using them in the manners that we have seen.
And I hate to say this, Randy, following up with you, but do you worry about copycats? I mean, certainly the first thing we heard was ISIS claiming that this was a soldier of their movement and so on. I mean, pretty standard stuff, but do you worry that this has other deranged individuals saying, hey, I'm going to get famous by doing the same thing?
I tell you right now, that's the first thing that I thought of after the smoke cleared here, so to speak, was somebody is sitting in a room right now going, 59, 60 people? I can beat that. And that's what scares the hell out of me.
If I can speak to this topic about the psychological screening.
Go ahead, Lou.
I had a first-hand experience in a community known as Manhattan Beach, California. And the chief there, Ernie Klebershaw, to his credit, would issue concealed weapons permits, providing you complied with his mandate, which included you're being psychologically screened with a battery of testing, which picks out personality defects. That's what they're designed to do. Right. After that, criminal history, then qualification with the firearm, and then an interview. And that was done every 2 years for the duration of the permit and required upon renewal. So I do know firsthand that that policy can be implemented. What it has to be done, perhaps on a case-by-case basis. If we're looking for the federal government to come in and create this environment or atmosphere where we're going to psychologically screen people, I think that's an unreasonable expectation. But to go to each jurisdiction, whether it's the city of New York, the county of Nassau, the county of Suffolk County, Manhattan Beach, the county of Los Angeles, and tell their issuing or their licensing division, this is what you must do going forward. This whole discussion about people's rights to own firearms is driven by a federal argument wrapped around the Second Amendment. The federal government should establish a mandate that is enforced on a local level. It can be done. I actually experienced it. And, you know, this is not the time to be giving no as the answer. We better put our thinking caps on, because this is going to happen again. The thing that's interesting about this particular shooting is it only has life because of the scope and the scale and magnitude of the loss of life. If this had been 2 or 3 or 5 people, we would have glossed over this, because these shootings are no longer something what we refer to as an anomaly. They're commonplace. What made this an anomaly was the body count. But we can prevent these. Our people in law enforcement and the properly backgrounded people in private security know the mechanisms to put in place to protect these venues. I was involved in it. I did it in the Golden Globes post 9/11. We held the high ground. That's all I'm going to say to you. We also put in technology in the form of magnetometers. We use bomb dogs, hazmat teams, a number of other mechanisms to create a safe environment. But it's doable. I did it.
Very interesting. Randy, very quickly, I just wanted to, as we're watching the governor of Nevada begin his introduction of the president, we'll be going there as soon as the president takes the podium. But Randy, as a former lieutenant with the Las Vegas PD, how proud are you of the Las Vegas Police Department, how it handled this situation?
I couldn't be more proud. The men and women of Metro really stood to this occasion. Many were not even working when they heard about this taking place. I talked to one sergeant who heard about it on the news, grabbed his uniform and went to the scene. And a number of those stories are coming out. But besides that, the courage and the incredible compassion shown by off-duty police officers, firefighters who were in the crowd when this took place, as well as just common citizens. There's going to be a legend of these men and women, some of who gave their lives in the service of others, which includes one of our officers, Charlie Hartfield. He gave his life even though he was off duty, attending this concert by trying to help others. And this is what makes me so proud to have worn that badge for 34 years and to see the men and women of law enforcement stand up and do exactly what they are called to do.
And it's always amazing. We saw this during Hurricane Harvey and Irma, and in some cases Maria, how civilians come to the front and act heroically. And we saw that again in the shooting on Sunday night, how people selflessly did selflessly whatever they could do to protect others. And that's when I think the American spirit really comes through. Maybe you can speak to that too as well, Randy.
Well, here's what I would like to say. This is, I think, of all the things that we've talked about today, the most important thing is to use this as a uniter for the American people. We have been so divided. This tragedy, this incredible loss of life, cannot have happened in vain. We as Americans, Democrats, Republicans, white people, black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, this is the time that we need to come together. This is when we need to unite and become what America should be.
Yeah, it's quickly, Lou, this is speculation, but what about the girlfriend? She's now being talked to by the FBI. We talk about not having a motive. Maybe she could be the key to getting into the mind of this guy.
Yes, the interview with his girlfriend is key to this. I mean, the FBI is hopeful that she's going to be able to shed some light as to his mindset, his concerns, his triggers. They're also going to try to determine if, in fact, she was complicit in any way, and that if she had knowledge of this going to take place and fled the country, she might be criminally charged. We witnessed that in the San Bernardino shooting with the family that was attached to that shooting. So she's a key part of this equation right now. The FBI, which is probably the most competent investigative arm on the planet, will get through this with her, and hopefully she'll be able to guide them in directions where we can get some answers as to his state of mind, because that's what this all revolves around, what his thought process was that caused him to do this.
Randy, we're out of time. Thank you so much.